motion to grant the adjournment.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to grant the adjournment until our October meeting for 123 Main Street, ZB 22-01?
Motion.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that's been, if anybody's here for 123 Main Street, we'll adjourn and see you in October if necessary. Also, I'd like to get a motion to adopt the resolution for the decision for application ZB 22-03 52-54 South Manheim. Actually, do we need to vote or we're just adopting this resolution, right? Is this all in?
So
here?
if,
Or I need to-
just make sure that the board's all
We should do a vote. We should
had
do
an
a roll vote.
opportunity to review the resolution. If you have any changes, you had discussed this back, it was a few meetings back, and you were waiting to hear back from the county.
Oh, the secret came back. I saw that.
You're waiting to hear back from the county, so now it's ready to be adopted. You were granting it was a variance for the height of the
Okay.
building.
So we'll get a motion to approve it or deny first. Because we didn't vote
It
on
would
this.
just
We
be,
didn't do this.
it would be a motion to
Did we vote? on-
adopt the resolution approving the variance.
So we're gonna do that first then. Just before I ask for that, Sean, have you had a chance to look at the resolution?
Yes.
Okay. Cody, have you good with it? Okay, so with that said, can I get a motion to approve or deny application ZB 22-0352-54 South Manheim, subject to adoption of a written decision to be drafted by council? If we get a.
Well, we drafted the decision's
gonna
already
vote
been
on it
drafted,
first.
so it would just be a motion to adopt the resolution approving the variance for
But we have to
ZB.
vote on this. Don't we have to vote on this first? Don't we get a roll and vote? Or no?
This would be your vote,
This,
if
yeah,
someone wanted
Vote
to
to
make the
adopt the
motion to
resolutions.
approve.
Yeah, so we need that first, correct?
Someone would make the motion to approve the resolution as drafted.
yeah, 'cause we already voted.
We already voted on this,
Yeah.
because we didn't do this last meeting because of the CEQA. So this was
Well,
voted
we-
on two
We
meetings
voted
ago.
to write it up as long.
Two
as the
meetings.
sequel,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then.
Yeah, you previously voted to authorize the decision to be drafted. Now this is just your vote
adopting
on the
resolution.
actual
I think
decision.
it's a lot harder than I have it in.
Yeah, we're just.
So we're just making a motion to adopt the resolution.
Exactly.
Can I get a motion
And I
to
would just
adopt-
ask if Autumn could do a roll call vote
We are gonna do
on
it.
the.
I'm saying. Okay, all right, all right, can I get a motion then to have a vote to adopt the written resolution as drawn up by council for ZB 22-0354-54 South Manheim? We'll do a roll call vote. Ask me last. Autumn, go ahead. Go ahead, just make the motion. I make the motion.
Yeah, motion.
Sean,
Seconded.
all right, do a roll call vote.
John O'Sullivan,
Yes.
Woody Carlson,
Yes.
Chair Tony Saraceno.
Yes. So that motion to adopt written resolution ZB 22-03 is now in effect. If 52-54 South Manheim is here, you're good to go. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Autumn or our building inspector. All right, have a good evening. Okay, I don't think we have to wait on any of the administrative stuff we can do afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get a motion then? So we're gonna go right to 184 Main Street, and can I get a motion to open up the public hearing for 184 Main Street?
Motion.
Second,
Aye.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now open. I would like to start with the people who were here first. Can come up, and if you would like to speak about 184 Main Street, you're welcome to. This is the time to do it. Whoever was here first, would you can come up first. Would you like to sit here
Everybody will.
or wherever you're comfortable? It doesn't matter. Okay. Stay who you are.
Okay, my name is Claudia Goldstein. And I live on Mill Rock Road. So I mean, I'm coming here tonight with only a limited understanding of what the plan, or what the request is. And what I'm understanding is that this new building project would require 45 parking spaces that doesn't have the variances request.
I'm going to ask that you just, no, that's something that would be, it sounds like we're getting into the planning board. The ZBA is here. There's a request for a 5-foot relief for a 5-foot setback. in the rear of this building. So I need your comments would be based on how that's going to affect you. I don't want, yes, go ahead.
Would it be helpful if we gave a just sort of brief overview of the project and what
Yeah.
you're seeking?
No,
I mean, I don't know.
Chair, Tony, I was going to just suggest maybe it would be helpful if I could give a summary if you want of what they're requesting. And then maybe
fair
that
enough.
way the public knows.
That's fair enough. I think, all right, so we'll leave the public hearing open and we have 184 Main Street here. Why don't you stand up and briefly, 5-minute synopsis, just give us to what you're specifically requesting the variance. We have it on our own file, but
Sure. My name is Sam LePay, without contact architecture, representing the Jamals in there. They are intending to build a 3-story building at 184 Main Street to be a hotel over a 1-story restaurant with an outdoor cafe spot in the front of the street and a roof deck which will be accessed by the patrons of the restaurant as well as people in the house. There are a variety of issues that we're sort of working through with the planning board, including parking. And certainly the roof deck is a discussion that we anticipate getting more and more engaged in. We currently on our site, we are showing 25 parking spaces, which is less than what would be required by the restaurant for its own usage. The village code allows for a certain sort of parameter around the site for on-street parking. Factoring those in, we are sort of above but all the same, we understand sort of the importance of parking. As part of that issue, our parking lot extends to about 5 feet from the rear property line. Zoning requires when you're abutting a residential district that we have a 10-foot setback from the property. So we're seeking relief of 5 feet so that we can be 5 feet from the from the property line with the goal of having as much parking as we can on this site while providing services that the applicants will need to do. Our intention to mitigate this issue is to provide sort of additional screening, trees, shrubbery, which is what we present to the zoning board, as well as a 6-foot wood fence, sort of tongue and groove cedar fence to prevent car lights or anything of that sort of 6 feet from our perspective feels like sufficient height to avoid a car light or anything of that sort, but not. And if it's higher, then we sort of deal with this prison scenario from either side. So it's not certain if that's better. Our lighting, site lighting comply with all of the site lighting. There's essentially no spillover to the neighboring properties, and that's just a requirement of zoning, one way or the other. Our main focus is that we're looking for the property relief. We want to sort of make the rear line of the property sort of we're beefing up that so that the issue that to be. And then just as an additional point of clarity, the rear property line abuts one property, which is 43 Center Street. Khalil Jamal, Adrian Freed's brother, reached out to the owner of that property, and he has provided a letter in support of our efforts and takes no issue. He's the really only person directly affected by this specific variance. He's not the only person affected by the project, but he is the only parcel really the only one that's affected by our variance. So we understand there will be a lot of questions. There are a lot of concerns. In this scenario, we're dealing with a fairly focused, small portion. It doesn't have the larger implications that we will certainly be talking about in the public hearings.
May I ask a question?
I don't know.
this isn't really a forum. I don't want to open this up as a forum between both parties.
Well, I'm gonna say that concludes my.
What's the detail? How many bedrooms?
There's a plan, go ahead and I'll let you answer that question. 6 upstairs, 6 downstairs. There's a plan that's available, at the building, when you go to the building inspector's office, we can pull it out. We have them here online to review if you really needed to see one. I don't want it's not a debate. Okay, this is more of a fact-finding tour to what we want to learn. And if we do have questions, we have the applicant here as well. But I wanted, again, just to address your comments directly to the variance. Okay, that's what is, if there's something about lighting and noise that, or even parking spaces, that's something that would need to be addressed at the planning board.
We have no,
I have no jurisdiction on that. We are here whether or not to determine whether we want to allow him to be 5 feet closer than necessary. That's,
Yeah,
no, it's okay. That's all right. So if you still like to speak, you're more than welcome to come up and,
it's okay because the things I have to say do not address that.
Okay.
This is-
does anybody who would else like to speak, who would come up to address this variance? Okay. I'm going to wait a few minutes. I'm going to wait about a minute. Is there anybody online who would like to send an email or would like to speak out verbally? Okay. All right, with that said, I'm going to ask for Ashley. Ashley,
Yes.
your thoughts, just to, before I do anything, I just want to get your thoughts on me closing this public hearing right now.
So if there's, I've heard you asked, it sounds like there's some people there, but if,
Yeah.
is anyone there? Wants to
No, I
speak
didn't
up
know
there?
if it was thought to keep it open, but we don't need to. There's a good turnout here. We haven't had this type of turnout, so I'm just trying to, maybe I'm a little hypersensitive to it. I just wanted to just pay attention to it.
No, and that's a fair,
we're here to
yeah, to
serve
make
the
sure no
bill.
one wants to,
I'm here for you guys, so I just want to make sure that before I ask for a motion to close out that public hearing, that everybody is okay with what I've said, and if you have anything to offer, it really would be the time right now. Okay, with that said, can I get a motion and the close?
and then there's a few people online though, I think I just would like to, I know I heard you ask, but anyone that's on the Zoom, if you want to speak on the variance for the public hearing for 184 Main Street, now would be the opportunity. You can unmute yourself.
actually back up to.
Yeah, we can open that up. Okay, anybody online? Going once, going twice. All right, so can I get a motion then to close the public hearing for 184 Main Street?
Motion.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor? Aye. All right, so
Aye.
that public hearing is now closed for 184 Main Street for the ZB 22-05. All right, can the applicants come up? We're gonna have a discussion. Questions and whatnot. So, we have a letter, Ashley, from one of the applicants. Do I need to introduce that into the record? They wrote an email.
So that's part of the record. You could reference that, you could acknowledge that you did receive the email, and you could state their name and the date it was received, just so that it's clear
Okay,
and reviewed.
we received an email from, I guess his name is Mr. Hermes. It's an email, so I'm reading it off his address. Oh, yeah, it's Bill Herms. It's at the bottom, and Ann Galperin. I'm gonna voicing their concerns on some drainage that might be affected. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer that. There's some flooding that can occur there, and in some basements, they have sump pumps set up, and they have a concern that I'd like you to address, that this variance will affect drainage.
Do you want to read it first or you want to go?
I mean, no, I don't really want to read it. I think I paraphrased it rather simply. And there's a
Well-
couple other things in there, but they just said that they have a, I don't have my glasses with me, but.
No.
Center Street has major drainage issues that a development of this size seems very likely to exacerbate. And a smaller setback requirement could aggravate that further. We have regular flooding in our yard after moderate to heavy rains, as do our neighbors, some of whom have sump pumps in their basement. So now there's some other things in here about noise and whatnot that it doesn't really apply to us, but that sentence. And that's a good example of this variance. They have a concern that this variance does affect flooding. So with that said, I'd like you to address that.
So multiple things. I guess we're doing a variety of things to sort of additionally sort of manage stormwater drainage better than what is existing. What the site is currently at or above 85% max coverage already. The only area that's really not is sort of the grassy area beyond the existing asphalt, which our setback relief requests will sort of make asphalt. All of the parking will pitch to the north, which is going to be pitching to Main Street. So we're going to be all of the area that we're adding asphalt to, we're going to be directing the stormwater there to the drainage both at Main Street and at these 4 dry wells that are in the site. There are 2 existing dry wells. We're adding 2 additional ones, and we're repairing the 2 that are existing.
And those are on the, would be on the west.
Those are on the, I guess, sort of, let's say, the northwest portion. Well, they're in sort of the center of the drive lane of the sort of.
Okay.
There are 2 now, there'll be 4. Overflow from these scenarios in case of a substantial rain event. Overflow will be sort of directed to catch basins along Main Street. So whatever amount of water is going towards Center Street, there will be less as a result of this development.
Sean, do you have any questions about that? Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It breaks up a little bit, but I got the gist of what he said.
You have any questions about that?
I'm confused on how a dry well that's going to pump water right into that area is going to alleviate someone's basement problem. You're just basically pumping water into the basement. If you have a dry well right next to it, if someone put a dry well next to my basement will be wetter. It seems like it's going to make the problem worse.
I don't know if anybody can guarantee how you want to catch as much of that into the water basin as possible.
Yeah,
is what
I'm not
he's
sure if I
saying.
understand your concern though, because we're managing twice the amount of water that's on site. So we're reducing by 2 the amount of water that may go to anybody else's property. I'm not a civil engineer, so I am to some degree quoting the civil engineer on the project. But so that water is managed, double the volume of water is going to be managed. And in fact, more than double the volume of water because the 2 existing dry wells are going to be repaired and fixed up.
Is that in the plan to the planning board?
Yes.
And the draining from this is a flat roof structure with a
I
deck
mean, the water
Oh,
that's on
that's
the roof
working.
drainage, all of that is sort of.
into the,
And fundamentally, and again, I see Rick's up there, he knows civil stuff better than me, he's not. But the point is, the water, the stormwater as of now is managed poorly, and it will be managed substantially better. Moving forward, it will not create additional burden on any of them.
So you're saying it'll be an improvement.
It will be a substantial.
Is this okay?
Have you shown that to the building inspector?
The building inspector, it's public record, it's part of the submitted documents that the planning board. That the village engineer either is reviewing or in the process of reviewing.
And all that kind of good stuff.
It's important to note with respect to Mr. Hermes' concern that the site currently drains towards the northwest. And it is in that direction that the existing dry wells and new dry wells, the existing ones are there and the new ones are being located. And any major storm event overflow is heading towards Main Street, not towards Center Street.
Go ahead, Sean.
That's not the question I asked. I asked a different question. Has a civil engineer signed off and said that the situation is going to get better?
Yes. It's designed by Willingham Engineering.
So Sean, if I could maybe add to that, so I understand their engineer has designed it and typically the planning board will have that then reviewed by the village engineer as part of their review of the project.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you'd like to offer? Because what we do from this point is we begin to discuss your variance. I don't want to be interrupted. If we have a question, we'll utilize you because you're right here. So that's great. If you do have a question, just raise your hand about something that we're discussing. We usually go through 5 factors as we discuss that. Before I start that, is there anything else that you'd like to offer?
Relative to this variant, I don't know.
Just pertaining to that letter, our main goal is to improve that property, improve the situation in the village and the way it looks. We're not gonna try, we don't want to impede or harm anybody on Center Street as well. So
What-
just doing it.
When
Well, it
did you-
drains to the northeast, it drains to the northwest, excuse me, already, and we get flooding. So you're gonna drain it to the northeast and think we're gonna improve that and get less flooding, or to the north directly.
Well, I mean, it's to the, I mean, I guess north is sort of to the.
West would be downhill. remotely.
Yeah,
once it
northwest
gets
would
to
be
Main
heading
Street.
out toward P and G's and.
Yeah,
that way,
like once,
down that
if
side
they
of the
drain
street.
it north to Main Street,
Well, they had not,
Yeah.
he had said it drains, he
Yeah.
said it drains northwest.
when did you acquire this property?
When did you guys acquire this?
Can I have this one, Smith?
It's been years.
You had it for the
It's been
previous,
years.
okay, all right, that's what I was just curious because, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Do you have anything else that you want to offer on this before we get into our discussion?
I think it's
Do you have
important
a
to,
copy of the letter From the neighbor at,
No, that-
These are extra.
Thank you.
civil.
you had mentioned earlier that the neighbor directly behind the setback line had written a letter. Do we have access to that?
Yeah, I have a copy. of
Is
it
it
here.
the, Well, I've got two
This-
links here. too. I have it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
But I just want to make sure, is it in regards to the violations or?
Well, so,
So the-
no. So this is the resident that's actually against the backup
Oh,
line.
I
They,
didn't see
they had reached out. They met, yeah, I don't think we'd seen that.
No, we received.
oh, he's
that
in favor of
today.
the parking thing? You're not asking for, really, it's not really a
I'll
parking.
send you
thing,
the,
but okay.
Yeah.
So. And they live at 43 Center.
Yeah,
Street.
so that's the house that directly,
Okay. So he
Sets
doesn't-
up to
he
the-
doesn't mind it. Okay, that's good.
Can you just mention for the record or what that letter was that you received? Because I
All right,
don't, think we had that previously.
Can I get a motion in to put the letter in from?
Yeah, you don't even need a motion. You could just read in who it's from and the date, and that
All
way.
right. Autumn, I'm gonna put into the record a letter from Beliet Khan at 43 Center Street, New Paltz in New Paltz, New York. This is a residence directly behind the applicant's property. And she is in no issue with having us granting that setback. That's just a paraphrase, bring it on the record, please. Okay. If you have nothing further to offer, what we do is we go through a process. Sean, before I start this, are you okay? You want to start that? Are you okay to start that process? Our 5 factors? You can't hear me. Are you okay to start?
I am, yeah,
Let's do
I
that.
can hear you.
Sean, can you hear me? Sean, I can't do this without him. He's got to be able to hear me.
He asked a question
he's
previously.
locked
We
up on
didn't hear
screen on
any
here.
of it.
Yeah,
Sean, we're going to start the process of going through these 5 factors and begin our discussion. Are you okay with that?
okay.
You're good. Okay, got it. Can you hear us? Your screen is frozen. He's stuck in a thumbs up mode, which is great. but-
Good for you.
You can hear us, Sean? You can hear us.
Yes,
Okay. Sean, can you hear me now? Okay, I'm not gonna.
yes.
Sean, I really don't want to do this way.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean, if it's a,
Call.
what your computer can handle as far as speed and streaming, you want to just come in, you want to call in on audio because we're not hearing you. It's worse for you.
Okay,
All right, we're gonna just adjourn for a minute and let you call in. Yeah, we can't discuss this.
I'm not sure if it would be against, yeah,
Let him call, we'll put him on speaker. He can call my phone.
yeah,
Put it
that's
on
what I was
speaker
gonna
now.
ask if that's allowed. I can just put,
Is it-
I'm not sure if there's.
I can hear you better now. Is that better?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good. All right, we're gonna, Sean, we're about ready to start the discussion of the five factors and have an open discussion about this variance request. Are you okay to start?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, so the first factor we're gonna take a look at is would an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood? Or would it be a detriment to the nearby properties if we grant this area variance? Sean, I'll, now remember, this is simply in respect to the request for the 5 feet in the rear setback. Sean? Sean? Ashley, if we cannot get Sean and we cannot discuss this, do I need to adjourn this meeting?
Yeah, if Sean's unable to,
We lost him.
Would there be any kind of issue if we were to get him on speaker of a cell phone? Is
I mean,
that,
he could call in, I think, to the Zoom. I'm just concerned with the ability to record and for the recording to hear him and everyone to be able to
Yeah.
hear him.
He's
So-
got to be in on a Zoom. We've got to have this.
If you hear us on the Zoom, it still records.
No, he's just have to,
We can't do it through a private phone.
yeah,
if we could take a pause for a minute, because right now you don't have a quorum because Sean just dropped off. So
Yeah, can't wait.
maybe we could just take a pause and see if he'll be able to, that might be him joining now on the iPhone.
Joining him.
Oh, he's calling my cell phone. Okay, Ashley, I'm gonna need to know what the, hold on for a second. Sean, just hold on for a second. Ashley, what is the, is there any legalities here? This needs to be recorded.
It needs to be recorded. The public is supposed to be able to see and hear.
I
The
could put it on
board member?
speaker. Can we record it on speaker?
Right.
What do you, don't talk, Sean, just keep it down for a second.
Is he able to get on the Zoom visually? Because it should be.
He was on the Zoom visually. and
Yeah,
kept
if you
locking
could
up.
do that and call in.
I can't
I'm
even
not
hear him on
sure.
this. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Let me connect to the,
You want to try to Bluetooth it?
Yeah.
I hate, I'm sorry, everyone. Sometimes technology is good and sometimes it's bad. This is one of those instances where we like to make this go a lot smoother. You're gonna get all that static through
Yeah.
there too. on
yeah,
that
there's
Bluetooth.
gonna be feedback.
No,
Yeah, it won't work.
Sean, can you, Ashley, we're not gonna be able to get him through the Zoom and I can barely hear him here.
Can he reload?
Thank you.
He's at a phone. Sean? I know, we're getting a lot of background noise wherever you're at. That's the first thing. So you have to find a quiet spot. I'm not even sure if I can. take
Yeah, and
this.
if he's not able to, I'm concerned because now everyone's not able to hear him. So I think if he's not able to get somewhere where he could participate,
Can he do it through my phone, first off? No, I guess. Can he do this through my phone? That's the first question.
he should be visibly on the Zoom as well. So
Then no, okay. That's a no, Ashley, so I understand clearly.
he should be seen and heard, not just.
All right.
you know,
Sean,
heard.
we're gonna need for you to get on somewhere on the Zoom where we can hear you clearly, or we're not gonna have a quorum to be able to discuss this variance tonight. Where are you? Are you?
Can you put him on speakerphone,
Oh, all right.
please, for now?
I don't know if I only asked, so it's not my, but he's not anywhere. He's in a spot that's tough to get.
So I think the best thing would be if you could put him on speakerphone and then if you could do a motion to adjourn, and you'll have to hold your deliberations at your next meeting.
I'm gonna give, all right,
Sure.
Sean, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you a chance to see if you can get some reception there. I'm gonna ask everybody to just be patient for a couple minutes. If you can do it, all right, if you can do it, we'll have the meeting. If not, I'm gonna put you on speaker and I'm just gonna get a motion to adjourn it and we'll have to just pick this up. Maybe we can even schedule something 2 weeks from now. We can do that. All right. I'm sorry, everyone. I can barely hear him on my phone. He's breaking up. So he's out somewhere in a part of the world where they don't have really good internet.
Can I do my administrator?
Yeah, well, I don't know. No, Tim, it's not gonna be. in the-
Before you're ready.
Well, we
Okay.
can't,
I don't,
without three people, we
can you
can't.
hear it, Ashley?
No, you really,
Oh, no.
the only, if you don't have a quorum, all.
I don't need to vote or anything. Tim just wants to come
No,
up.
no, really what you should do is just adjourn the meeting. That's the only thing. when
We
you don't
have,
a quorum.
we have a, Ashley, we have a person who just wants to make a general public comment. Can we hear that just as two people?
It's, you're not in, without a quorum, you're not technically in a real meeting anymore, so I would suggest. if
I'm
you-
gonna allow it. I'm gonna allow it.
I would suggest adjourning the motion. The one thing you could
No,
do. with
I'm gonna let
quorum
this
is-
person come up and make a public comment. If it,
No, Tony, go ahead.
want to adjourn it then?
You and Cody can
Adjourn the
adjourn.
meeting,
It's the
yes.
one thing. you could
Hold on,
do
I'm not
without-
adjourning anything yet. We're gonna give Sean a chance. I'm not gonna hear
We
anything
can't
just yet.
meet legally without three members.
I understand. I just want to make sure if we adjourn, does that mean it's over?
No, we'll have to have you on. We'll try to get this
Oh,
scheduled.
tonight?
What I'm saying, yeah,
Yeah.
so then we maybe not adjourn it, we could show on a few more minutes.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting to do. We're gonna
Let's
give
do
him a
that
try.
rather than adjourn.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna call in. We're gonna see if we can get him up here.
Public.
Well, we're gonna see if we could do something. Perhaps we can schedule something 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Will there be time for the public neighbors to speak on the whole plan?
Yes, that will be, you'll get with Autumn, village clerk, or and schedule. She will let you know the next, you can also go online and see the meetings that the planning board are scheduled. They meet twice a month. And was it Tuesday nights? It's Tuesday. Right?
First and third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, it's the first and third Tuesday. I will try to see if we can schedule something 2 weeks.
I mean, it's, Succeeding. I understand technology issues. And I understand we have to be respectful, and that is difficult in these scenarios. We're prepared. They're paying.
I understand.
You know, they're paying money for this to happen. I don't know what the party is. They're saying, I'm gonna get on the wrong side here, while we're requesting things. But the respect has to go both ways. This is very frustrating.
I understand your frustration.
No way to know.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if we got him. He's gotta be up on screen too. We'll take that right away. So you get rolling.
He might be trying to call in as well. I don't see any audio from his.
All right, before, if we get Sean, if we get Sean, I'm gonna open up the floor real quick before we get to a public comment. We have a resident, very low profile resident who'd like to make a comment. Not yet, Tim. If you can get him here for a few seconds, just come up and say it. I'm just gonna wait, see if we can see him and then do the comment.
He could.
All right, just. If I even hear static, I'll have him come, just come up and make a comment. Okay, he's here. I just want to open up real quick before we start our discussion around this. We have a resident who would like to make a public comment, which we are happy to receive. Go ahead, come on up, say who you are.
Village of New Falls Mayor Tim Rodner, responsible for resident in the village, legally have to be the village mayor, but I came to the planning board meeting last week, thank the volunteer planning board members. I came to your meeting this week to thank you for serving as volunteers. Cody, thank you. Tony, thank you. Sean, on Zoom, thank you. Noah is a fourth member, and fifth member is at large, so we're always looking for volunteers. It's so incredibly important that we have volunteer members on boards like this. You know, like we have applicants here who are feeling really frustrated that, you know, this is taking a long time. Or just even to get through this meeting. You know, it helps me sleep better at night knowing that we have volunteers who look closely at applications. Whether it's for a big project like this that might be controversial, or a very simple project, like we absolutely depend on volunteers to understand our code, work with our building department, work with our attorneys. It's really just how small communities like ours work. And so thank you, and anyone who wants to serve in a capacity like this on a volunteer board, it's greatly needed, it's greatly appreciated. You know, we're seeing right here, Sean's doing his best trying to dial in, it's not always easy.
I'm here, by the way.
I know, and you're here because you're doing your best to like make sure that you're dialed in. It's
Yeah.
not, this is not, you know, you're no one's paying you to be here. You're volunteering, taking time out of your Tuesday evening, but more importantly, you're spending your own time outside of Tuesday evening to understand the code, to work with our attorneys. You know, these are very time-consuming jobs, and it's pretty unglamorous. A lot of people think it's pretty boring. So it's incredibly important. So that's why I wanted to come and say thanks. And it's also a very difficult job because sometimes applicants will not appreciate where you land in terms of decisions. Community members will sometimes disagree with where you land. You know, it's like you're gonna upset different people at different times, and you have to have a thick skin. So thanks for all of your help.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We clap, but it's really not appropriate, so. Thank you, Tim. Okay, Sean, we have you loud and clear wherever you are, so, and you're actually coming in high definition.
Wow. And the
Yeah,
sun came out
actually,
too.
you're
So
clear.
it's-
Okay. So, Sean, we want to start with 182 Main Street, 184 Main Street to do our discussion around 5 factors. Since everybody's spoken, the public hearing's closed. Are you ready to work around that?
Yep.
Okay, so the first factor we take a look at is, would there be basically the short of it is there an undesirable change that if we do, will be producing the character of the neighborhood? Or would it be a detriment to the neighborhood should we grant this variance? So as I look at this, the overall variance, is it going to affect how anything looks if you were to pass by it? I would say to that end, my own opinion is no, I don't think that this is going to create that kind of change in the neighborhood, provided there's no issue with flooding. That to me would be a significant change in the neighborhood.
They are. That's-
Okay. Cody? Or Corey?
Yeah, to the first matter, because of the fact that you are also including some plans to try to deal with the fact that it's closer, like the fence and the shrubbery, I think it will not have a negative effect.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the flooding as well. And that's basically that's basically my main concern is that you're moving this water 5 foot closer to the people's houses than it needs to be. So that's my major concern too as well.
Okay. All right. The second factor, I just want to take a quick look at. I think that first factor is pretty. I think as long as we see something here on how the flooding works, I don't have an issue too much with anything on that first factor. The second factor I see is, can this be achieved by some other method? That's basically the second factor when you're in pursuit of a variance. And I have to tell you that as I look at this, I really feel that this we're asking for 5 feet. You know, the third part is we ask, is it a substantial variance? And it's really, as far as area goes, it's not, in my opinion, it's not an overly substantial variance. I've seen bigger and I've seen some that sometimes have more impact. But where I think you guys have to take a really good hard look at this is, can you find 5 feet somewhere in your building? I talked a little bit about this last time. Is it reasonable? You have each one of these rooms, 5 of these rooms are 12 feet, your stairwell is 9 by 4. Now, I'm not sure what the code is on stairwell. I did look that up this afternoon. It has to do, I didn't have time to figure it out because it has to do with weight and with, but I'm gonna ask you, the first question is that above code, that stairwell?
No,
It's exactly
yeah,
on,
it's the same size, it's a stairwell that allows for the,
it's very wide.
it's, what it allows for is a handrail, which is 1.25 inches off the wall, and then 1.25 inches thick. And then I believe it's a 4-foot stairway access, then there's the railing in between, and
Okay.
another 4-foot access, and then you have your
The railing, so it's crazy.
and then just incidentally, this is the, the stairwell of the current police court and.
So I'm,
Station, so it's sort of, it's an actual size. If I can address just the general question of that, I think that the building, the rooms and everything in this building is fairly tight. I would suggest that everything on the site is fairly tight.
hold on, I want to ask that question for Patricia. What I want you to answer to me, all you guys, is why can't you get 5 feet out of this building? You've got rooms that are 12 feet. Now, I stayed in Manhattan last week and that room was a heck of a lot smaller than these rooms. Okay, and it felt bigger. And you have another guest room here, and I can't, again, I'm on my glasses. Looks like there's 2 of these rooms that are 15 feet. Is that correct? Or is that 18?
The 2 rooms in the front are wider.
Yeah, they're 15 feet, right?
One of them is 15 feet, one of them is 13 feet.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. I got LASIK, so I have to look.
Yeah,
It's kind of, I hold it here. Yeah, it's compact.
The
All right,
rooms,
so that's what I want you guys to discuss. You've got 6 rooms here. It's a match top to bottom. You've got a stairwell, you've got the front of the building. Tell me why you can't get 5 feet out of it.
I have 2 answers to that, I guess. One, the building is tight. The room's 12'4" is a pretty tight room. The 15'4" room in the front is, the intention of that is certainly to be sort of a larger, more luxuriously wide room, but it is also compressed in size in this dimension because of the stair. The egress stair to the front. Getting 5 feet out of this is not a simple thing, and it will, we would suggest it would dramatically reduce the quality of these places. I don't know where you stay in Manhattan. I understand in Manhattan, things are
The
small.
Belmar Hotel, 84th Street.
I think in Manhattan, in a scenario that's.
I'm not comparing to Manhattan. I'm just saying I was in a room that was small.
Well, I'd like to address Manhattan, because I think it's a fair point. Everything is a little bit tighter because it's dollars an inch, or whatever is there. I mean,
They may not have needed a variance though, so technically.
they
that's
did
tighter.
not. From our perspective, I understand the concern of precedence as an issue here. Making this building smaller by 5 feet is going to reduce the quality of the accommodation that the applicant wants to provide. In addition to that, providing the 5 feet relief there.
Okay.
Because there's also another, it's like, well, could we have less parking spaces? Well,
How wide is it? How long is this ship?
Let's presume it's a foot.
It's exactly 1 foot.
Okay.
Okay, so if I was to measure out 12 feet here in this room. The beds are 6 feet, you got 2 feet coming in. I know it's gonna be a little tighter. I completely understand it. There is smaller furniture that you could put in that room. I've seen that done. There are ways to design this.
So the question is those approaches better than providing less relief or providing 5 feet of setback?
Well, we have to answer the questions that they're laid out.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that there.
Yeah,
we also
and
have
I'm
to be
gonna-
balanced, right?
Okay, and I'm gonna also agree with Tony there, because every bedroom in my house is way smaller than your smallest room.
I would
So-
doubt, I don't think that.
These aren't considered bedrooms, these are hotel rooms.
Like,
So hotel rooms are not a
Well,
place where
yeah.
you're looking at it if you were gonna just sleep.
12 would be like a
Spend time in.
fairly standard hotel room width. Making it 10 feet would be anomalistic. Making it 11 feet would be anomalous. Having a room that's in a corner that's a little bit wider because it's a little bit shorter is what we feel is a reasonable sort of compensation for not having this, for having a room that's sort of compressed in size.
But
2 twin beds or a queen bed,
Well, this now, if I was to measure the square footage of each one of these rooms, 4 of these rooms are 48 square feet, 12 by 4. And then you have an 18 by 7. So that's 126 square feet, 126 square feet, 7.5. So 15 by
So
7.
The smaller rooms are 12.4 by 32.
By 32. 'cause
Oh, they
include
cut into the bathroom
bathroom.
there. Okay, well, I'm
I
looking.
would like to play the devil's advocate against ourselves is that this building's proportions being shrunk in 5 foot may also make it look stumpy. Just to throw that out there.
It's just,
The
There's
first
one other-
bedroom, what is it,
It's all
15 by
35.
7.5, you said, 15 by 7.5, the first bedroom?
There's one other impact. If you take the 5 feet, if you move the
This one. is-
parking 5 feet from the rear yard, you have to take out an additional parking space along the west side of the property.
So even if we reduce the building by 5 feet, and we lose some site,
Eliminates another one.
it has additional.
Well, so as far as the
You have
question,
enough parking already? You're not requiring a parking variance. Would you require one if you had one less? space?
Parking is an issue that will probably be very,
But you're not here for a variance for parking,
Not-
so there's plenty of spaces.
there are plenty, there are sufficient spaces on the site and within the 400 foot.
So 15 by.
so I
So
guess
one less parking
one
spot.
question would be as far as like reading number 2 of the CEQA as it's written, is if it's possible, if there's another way. Arguably, one less room.
Well, arguably, is there another way? Of course, in a certain sense, but that I also don't think is sort of an absolute scenario. Can't,
It's an
it could
absolute.
become- It's not an absolute scenario from the requirement of the zoning board as far as there's no other way to do this. Are there other ways? Can they?
Well, hold on, now, hold on. Listen, I'm not gonna, you're here to squeeze an extra room or 2 rooms in.
We're here for the setback.
Yeah, that's because your
Not
building
the
has a
extra
certain
room.
length to it.
But if you
If your
if you
building
had
wasn't
10
as long,
rooms,
you wouldn't need the variance.
then your building would be 12
Right?
feet shorter.
If your building is 5 feet shorter, then you start your parking there and you don't need a variance for the rear setback.
To fit
So
6
that's
rooms
where this
per
trickles
layer.
back to. It
But the
trickles
point
back
is,
to the
at a
building.
certain point, can something be built there that doesn't require a variance? That's sort of what it amounts to, what you're suggesting, which no one disputes that, but can this building with this sort of sufficient rooms, sort of to provide enough income from this place, provide the sufficient services that the applicant wants to provide with appropriate parking, appropriate
If-
site work and everything in that matter. And the sort of the request is that we have, in addition, we are 5 feet closer to the property line and are mitigating it through other means.
I
To
want
me,
to, I
that
want to
looks
say
like that's a
something straight.
reasonable-
I want to say something straight out that, we don't want to get into finances, because if you want me to start to base this on what you're going to make off this hotel, stop. Okay, even if this was 10 rooms, you do very well. So let's be fair. All right, we know where we are with this town. We know where we're going to be.
That's
And
fair.
that's fair. So this is, so
Well, I mean,
basically,
that
if
is
you get an
that-
extra room.
12 room, I mean, it's, you're simultaneously making the.
If you're talking about quality of life,
Telling us that you don't want to. hear.
well, no, it's not that, I haven't said that, I haven't said that at all. What I'm saying is, you can't have it both ways, is specifically what I'm saying. You're talking about having rooms a certain size because you want to give your customers a certain value and comfort. And there's I mean, if that's the case, but you also, let's face it, it's not just about value and comfort, is it? Okay, there's an extra 2 rooms here that you want. It's about finance. Let's be fair.
But we can't.
Now, I'm not saying you can't put one at a time, guys. One at a time.
Sorry, we're also trying to create a beautiful building. Set a tone, make something really spectacular, that's not gonna be overwhelming. I think the 5 feet of space to actually help the drainage of that back section of what they were worried about. We are actually gonna help the drainage, and I'm sure the engineering will show that. We're just trying to create nice.
So you need the variance for the drainage.
The what?
We need the
You need
variance
the
for the
variance.
park.
No, yeah, for the parking. No,
Well, you said it was helping the
Somebody
drainage.
brought up.
No, I'm saying it's helping.
I'm trying to say.
Well, that building is gonna,
Okay,
okay, but that's irrespective of the variance, though. You put this, if you made this building,
So,
if you made this building 5 feet short, the drainage is gonna be the same.
We believe in our position is that if this building is 5 feet shorter, it's not as good a building. It's not as good at developing.
Is it aesthetically, what is not as
It's
good, what is not?
as good in the sense that the rooms get compressed beyond what we feel is reasonable. Any sort of planning or management of the space, sort of the non-room space gets more complicated. He has more trouble, site work we lose at least one parking space or we have to sacrifice other things outside. All of these things together, we feel that this is the best approach for this site for our goal. We are not stating and can't state that there's no other way this site can be developed. And I don't believe that that's a requirement of an area variance.
It
That is the
absolutely is.
question.
a-
We have
Absolutely
to-
not a requirement that there's no
No.
absolute way, and that's.
We have
what
to
we're saying.
answer the question.
I understand,
Yeah.
I understand, and we provided our response.
All right,
so
Let me clarify this further.
In advance.
So in these 5 factors, there is nothing here that is ever absolute.
Yes,
Okay, what we do and what, listen to us very carefully here, is we weigh. How hard you hear us discussing and pushing back to you on a certain factor. Take that into consideration before we make a vote. Okay? None of these are absolute, but we weigh the strength or how strong we feel about a particular one. It could be detriment to the neighborhood. It could be, we'll get into another one, self-created. It could be whether or not is there another alternative as we look at this. So you weigh it. Every one of them has another alternative. The alternative is you don't need it. You don't get a variance, you build something different. That's always there. Every variance we get is self-created per se, but we weigh that to the level of what we're looking at, to the community benefit, how long the build has been in our community and what he's done and what his history is, even though it's not specifically what we take a look at. We're all human. We look at these things and we see.
The more information we gain from all of these to compile what our belief is what's happening.
and I understand, and I meant to sort of say that I understand there are other scenarios and you're asking about them when we're trying to address it.
Yeah.
And I'm just stating that our position is that this building at this size and not reducing it 5 feet in this site layout provides the best development in this site.
Okay,
And that's, you know, what I mean, so that's not an argumentative position, that's just our position, and I understand.
a variance is a last resort. At least that's the way that we've been approaching this over the last 2 years, 3 years. And even further back, it should always be that way. That's the way that you address a variance. What I want to see here is I would not mind seeing a plan here just to see what it would look like without a variance. I wouldn't mind just taking a look at that. I'm sorry. I would like to see what this would look like without a variance.
What is the?
Sean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm having, like I said, yes, but more information is always better. And my confusion is, I thought this 5-foot setback was for the parking lot. So couldn't you make the parking lot 5 foot shorter? That would be the reasonable thing to do in my head. Like, why would you do a redesign of the building if you're just gonna lose 5 foot of parking space? You could
I
park
don't
those
actually, we
cars.
don't have, it's a good point. Will you guys answer that question? We don't have a layout of the parking, do we?
Yeah,
We
I've been
I haven't seen
eyeballing
it.
it this whole time.
It's just it right here.
Yeah, and this also has the.
So they're gonna take it from here. It's 26 feet.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to take 5, you don't need to take a
My-
foot out of every room, guys. You can
My
take something out of the, here in the middle of, you know. They're gonna take
Yeah,
it
my
out.
understanding was this was a setback for the parking lot, not a setback for the building. We're not giving them 5 feet of building space. We're giving them 5 feet of parking space.
Well, I
They're
know
just
that, but if the
allowing-
building was 5 feet shorter, they wouldn't need it.
Yes, but they could also make the parking lot 5 foot
I'm
shorter.
gonna let him answer. Go ahead, guys.
So if we lose 5, if we set the parking 5 feet closer or farther from the
Not the
property,
entire 5 feet.
we would have to lose those parking. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, you can take some from the building, you can take some from the distance in the parking spots here, that, we're talking
But
5
if we
feet.
didn't take any from the building, if we didn't want to modify our building plans that we paid for and that we're, presenting here, and that we think is a value, improvement on the community, especially for what's there now. And we believe that we're truly adding value to New Paltz, the village, of New Paltz, by putting this project in place. Reducing that 5 feet from the building is not going to be beneficial for the village. That's not going to be extra income coming in tax wise either. So allowing the 5 foot setback variance for the parking would be, like you said originally, it's a minimal amount of space. The neighboring property already is in support of this variance, allowing this variance. So I'm not really getting what you're thinking, reducing the, what
I don't think you need a variance.
what is reducing
That's what
the
I'm saying.
building value? What's the value of reducing the building?
What's the?
You don't need a variance.
So we could just reduce parking and then come back for a parking variance.
Do you need one if
And then
you
are
take
you
out
gonna
one
say if
space?
we take
Well,
out
they would also be.
the spaces that
They'd have to
the only way
lose
to
side
get
space.
parking is to reduce the building.
They would
size.
lose,
They'd have
the
to swap handicap to here because they would have to shift this.
Yeah, they lose this space right here. They lose 15.
Well,
How many parking spaces does the building
We
inspector
lose-
require to have? No, I don't want to know what you lost. How many are you required to have?
We're required to have 44 if we go with, I'm sorry, 42 if we use the village's sort of calculation for.
And how many are here next?
20.
So you need a variance on parking.
Parking in the village allows the space, sort of on-street parking within 400-foot diameter from the site.
and what's that counting up
As
as?
you're at about 70.
So then
And
theoretically,
then in the scenario where we're dealing with, and that, so that raises naturally questions, but hey, we don't have this in Center Street and.
you got 12 rooms and you're gonna have, and
So,
you-
and the point, sorry.
Because, yeah, you're doing 400 foot in a radius, so you're counting Center Street behind you that no one's going to park at and then walk around. That's that.
so they
Obviously,
lose three.
that's a
they lose
very
four.
weird.
But that's public parking.
Yes.
That's the way.
Yeah.
It's not a very weird thing.
So you have 27.
It is. I'm just saying that, yeah, I'm saying that your customer. No, I'm saying that the code is.
You have 27 spots here now. 25, and you'll lose, if you did that, you'd lose 3, you'd be at 22. Right?
Lose,
1, 2, 3.
Well, they can't lose.
Lose all the ones in the, yeah, lose everything in the back.
Well, you could shift.
Sorry, man. We lose these three.
You would have to swap your handicap and then lose 2 on the side.
I'm counting 3. I don't think they lose this one.
And then these 3.
And they lose these 3. Okay, and put one here, so they lose 4 of them.
And 2 of them would be handicaps, so one of these would have to be declarant, so they
Oh,
technically
they
lose
lose
5.
5. That's their.
Because they have to
Yeah,
have the,
You need a space.
You have to have the space. for the
Yeah.
hand.
so they would lose 5, so that'd put them at 20, which in theory would still put you at 65 over your 42.
I'm not sure though, if sort of removing spaces from this site is gonna make anybody happy.
Neither am I.
I'm just saying, you might be able to expand.
Neither am I,
And
that's,
that doesn't, like in the balance.
these are the questions we have to address.
But in the balance of it all,
That
that
is
is the scene reason.
Concern them.
Well, I think, listen, you've got enough parking. If you've got enough parking. You have enough parking theoretically, but I'm not supposed to issue that variance. You have enough parking. You have enough parking. You have 22 spots plus a ton of street spots. That's the village code. You don't have to touch the building and you don't need a variance.
Which factor are we on? Third?
We're on 2 still. If we went to 3, we can get off to 2, just move down this a little bit. 3 is the variance considered substantial? No, I do not consider it substantial. That's why I don't feel you need a variance. Okay, it goes both ways. I don't feel it's a substantial variance, and I don't like issuing, sometimes the issue of tiny variances sets a worse standard than issuing a bigger variance. I just don't see the need for a variance. What do you guys?
As far as just answering the question straight out, I kind of am differing on number 2 from you and Sean by the sounds of it, but number 3, I would also differ to if we're answering, is it a substantial request? It's 50% of the space. It's a 10-foot area and you're asking for half of it. Whether or not that's, yeah.
I guess there's a few ways to look.
Like,
I'll be fair.
I'm trying
Spoke
to-
too soon.
I'm trying to answer these questions straight out and then use that to.
Okay. All right. Is
Yeah,
the
I-
area
The other thing too that I'm worried about is that when you press every single thing to the edge like this, and then something comes up in the construction, like you need to have a vent or you need to have a tank or you need to have a trash can, and later on, then all of a sudden you're coming back for another variance because you've already maxed out all your things. I feel like there's nowhere to breathe on this plan.
If that were the case, it would make less sense to suggest that we reduce the size of the building though.
You can do it any way that you like. If you want more parking spots, then you can reduce the size of the building. If you want to keep the building the same, you really don't need 27 parking spots.
25.
25, pardon me, keep saying 27.
I think that there is going to be a ton of feedback about the parking with
Yeah, I
this.
think the village would be more satisfied with more parking on a side lot rather than taking away, because that's what they're talking about, taking away spots on Miller Rock, they're taking away. In every restaurant whatever business is
You're-
doing it, because it's in the code, but we're trying to add a few spots and I understand that there might be a larger issue than.
It's an awful lot of spots for 12.
Well, in the rest,
And
And there's a restaurant, 100-seat restaurant.
I mean, I eat out in New Paltz and pick up in New Paltz every day. And I personally think that this parking lot's still, like, parking here is already tight.
Parking here is
At
tight.
certain.
listen, the
at-
real
at
question
certain
is then,
areas, if
you
you're
know, are
across
you
the street at the
overloading the
restaurant.
building with too many rooms? That's the way to look, that's the way you see it. I understand, if you got so much parking, like Sean said, everything is getting pushed to the limit. Right?
It's
Everything is
tight-
getting
it's a
pushed
tight
to the
plan.
limit.
I don't think anyone
It's a
could
tight
argue
plan.
that.
It's
It's a tight
exactly
plan.
right. So theoretically, that variance could be substantial in the overall context of how tight this entire
that-
space is.
And that's really what yeah.
All right, the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or the district. I feel pretty confident in your plan on that point from your architects, as far as your civil engineers with the runoff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you see the grading mark? Like, as far as the drainage, if this is done according to these plans, I agree that it will certainly be an improvement with the water.
yeah, I see it pools there already when I've been
Yeah.
out there.
And
It used to be
this is-
Moxie Cupcake, by the way.
This is diagonal.
Yeah, we were the landlords.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
This is diagonal.
yeah,
So the water drainage is gonna,
Yeah.
this corner is high
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's gonna push out
Okay.
to a break.
I
We
don't-
think it
I
actually
don't see
will
an
improve
environment, it
that.
can be improvement. there.
Yeah,
A
That I agree
substantial
with.
improvement, and the parking space is actually improvement as well, because it allows more parking for the village, off-street parking.
Okay. The fifth variance is itself created. Obviously, every one of these is self-created to some degree. What we weigh is, again, the factor is how easy it is to balance this. A variance is a last resort. It's a last resort. That's the way I'm looking.
Have we, this could be, I'm just trying to like really look at every angle of this. What is, these are 18-foot spaces. What is the requirement for like a subcompact?
I'm not aware of subcompact requirements.
Okay.
Size. So these are just.
These are traditional, yeah,
These are-
18 is traditional. I mean, is that something that we can,
The different code variants for subcompact cars.
Well, I don't know, first of all, sub.
And I don't even know.
or
what it means
compact
5
car,
feet.
sorry, I misspoke.
You reduce the
That's
parking space
18
to
feet.
13 feet for a compact car,
That's what I'm asking.
that's a
That's,
substantial reduction.
I mean, again, I think,
but the difference would be if, say, it's 14-foot, this board might feel a lot more comfortable about giving you a 1-foot variance as opposed to a 5-foot variance.
We'll just
Just,
tell you to find 1 foot in the building.
just,
I can't, I didn't want to mess with the building. I get that, because it's a plan that they've got to.
Yeah, like you said.
and I actually am kind of on board with the fact that those rooms are like, with that number of rooms, that's a tight plan.
It's a tight plan.
The zoning laws requires 9 by 18 for parking spaces. And you're right that many vehicles are much smaller. But as you also know, there are a lot of people driving big SUVs and trucks. So the 9 by, it used to be back in the day, not that 3 decades ago, 10 by 20 was a standard parking spot size. 9 by 18, and then then the zoning law requires the the drive lane to be
Man, if they get a full capacity, it is gonna be a nightmare. getting there. You know, just from a safety standpoint, which isn't really one of the factors. This is a tight parking lot on top of it. If you're,
Well, you could take a look at almost every parking lot in the village as a tight parking lot. Look at main course across the street. It's it's a fire trap waiting. to
and
happen.
if I think
you
they
know,
would
and I
require
think if we
variance,
were
it's probably
looking at it-
grandfathered in. I doubt I would approve that parking lot. I wouldn't be approving variances for that parking. lot.
well.
If you get to max capacity here and with the bar, which is a distinct possibility,
It's not a bar, it's a
a
restaurant.
restaurant, you're serving liquor there too.
No, it's a restaurant.
I know what it's classified, I get it. I know what you gotta classify it as. You're serving drinks there though too? I got it. Are you serving drinks there though?
Sure, it'll be alcohol.
Okay, that's it. That's my point to it. Okay. I get it, it's a restaurant. Nevertheless, it's gonna be a filled parking lot. On top of that,
This back space is going with the. That's part two,
that's brutal to get in, to get off with this wall here too.
and the dumpster.
What's the
Sean, what's your overall
measurement of this?
feeling on,
It's
give
26
me,
wide.
again, it's not a straw poll, just give me,
Between the end of the.
give me your pros and cons, and let me know,
Between the
do the pros outweigh the cons in your mind, or do the cons outweigh the pros?
I'm looking at this whole, I get very nervous when builders and contractors and architects go this far to the limit. And every square foot here is being utilized, and they're using every square foot, and they need 5 more feet to make it work how they want it to work. And I'm struggling with this one a lot. I really am, because it's just so close to the edge on every single thing that it's leaning towards just being inappropriate for the space.
Thank you, Sean. Your mind, pros and cons. You see your pros outweighing the cons here, or your cons outweighing the pros? You want some, you're not sure to make a decision, because I don't need to do anything. tonight.
Yeah, I mean. I personally am probably leaning more towards pros. I do have concerns about these spots even being usable if we were able to do so.
If I do a straw poll tonight, or instruct our attorney to draft a resolution, just so you know, when there's only 3 people here, it requires a unanimous decision.
Mhm.
My advice is take another month. You may not want to, and see what you can do, or wait for our 4th group to get here. That would be my advice. If not, I'll be more than happy to straw poll this for you right now.
Well, let me ask, what are you requesting of us to do in this?
Find a way to get around having get us a variance, there's plans to do here, or come up with something else.
I guess maybe.
So we
Tony,
can-
if I could
Hold
comment
on, my
that.
attorney's gonna speak in this. Go ahead, Ashley.
So perhaps you might want to see if there is some type of alternative design, maybe that would alleviate the need for a variance altogether, or maybe lessen the size of the variance. I don't know if that's something the applicant could possibly
You
submit.
heard, you haven't heard, you kind of get a vibe around me, and you heard Sean. I'll be more than happy to put this to that tonight. But, and it's maybe not what you're looking for, but I take a long, hard look at this, and then you don't, yeah. It's up to you guys.
If we eliminate the parking, we don't need a variance.
It's a burden on the
Correct.
street. That would seem to be, that's the village code. right?
I think it could be perhaps modifying the design, not necessarily, maybe it's a
All right,
lesser.
we'll let them get into it. I don't want to debate that with them or offer them suggestions. That's their place to do
Is
that.
this sidewalk?
Well,
The best thing to do in this situation, guys, is to go back to the building inspector
Yeah, we put the bike path in.
and just, and listen, there's a way around to get this for you. But sit down with the building inspector and you can come up with something. I guarantee it.
So no votes now.
No, I don't think you want us to vote tonight.
Well, you can't vote tonight
Well,
because. this
it's
didn't
not a vote. We
affect the
lay into
county,
it. You don't
So
want us to instruct her to
you
draft.
have
a
to wait for
resolution.
the county to issue their.
There's also a sequel that's gonna have to come in on this, am I correct? Do I need to enter anything in the record while I'm here for a sequel?
You
And that-
already did that at the last meeting,
Did that
so that's
last
taken
meeting?
care of, but it's the Ulster County Planning Board
Yeah,
referral
get back on
response
that.
that you're waiting on as well.
I guess the part of the reason that I'm kind of torn right now, just so that you have a full understanding of where I'm at, is obviously if we can avoid having a variance at all, then that would be better. But I also, you're well technically within the parking range, you're well within it, even if you didn't have those, but I don't think that's a solution either.
I don't think so.
I
mean, that
think
parking lot
think
is-
that having
nice.
those, having more spaces is. It's gonna. At meal times, in
It's
front
possible.
of this already is booked, like those spots are already used. So I'm on a awkward line between thinking that you do need these spots, even though you're within, and trying to come up with a way for you to not have to have a variance.
I mean, even if we took a month. If the variance isn't required, if we eliminate those parking spots, then we just eliminate the parking spots.
And see, and that's
put the
what I
burden
wanna
on the
avoid.
village. Because that's the
I
whole
think,
thing.
I think that these parking spots are gonna make a big difference.
Those are
between-
more valuable to all the village, your citizens that you're
That's where.
we're representing. And I understand you're doing by the law and the variance, but these are more valuable than me just eliminating them as a developer saying, it's not even in the code, I don't need it.
Cause you would be able to add like maybe 2 or 3 parallel and you'd lose 5 spots.
Okay, actually, I just want to say something on this.
Wouldn't be
If you have
required.
100, if you have, can you hear me?
Go ahead,
Yep.
Sean.
Okay. If you have 100-seat restaurant and 12 cars and, I don't know, 3 or 4 cooks, 5 or 6 servers, a hostess, I don't think 1 to 10 more car spots is going to make any difference for this business at all. I think you could put 30 spots in and that would make a difference, but I think
That's my
that
point. I don't have a
between
problem with less
20 and
spots and more room.
22 is not a
Exactly
difference.
What I think.
This is a structure that
I
if
think
it
the
have the,
concerns here to overload the parking spots. Now, that's
yeah,
not.
it's whatever it
That's
is.
not the code.
If you're
I
going to get
understand that,
5
but
seats,
you're asking us to change the variance, but the variance that we're tying is gonna be tied to those parking spots.
And that,
So that's why you can leave it, but you're not gonna get the variance.
My feeling, I understand one way or the other, there's nothing we can do tonight. We have a scenario where we're sort of providing as many parking spaces as we can, and providing as good a development as we can. Doing as much for the community related to that as we can, in a scenario in which the only person affected has no issue with this. So we're coming down to a scenario where it's sort of, it's the principle of whether a variance can be granted in a non-absolute scenario or not. So our position remains that this is a better site development as it is than us cutting 2 feet of site work or eliminating 7 spots or these other solutions.
Taking out the only bike path on Main Street.
Take right away.
They wanted us to build this huge bike path and put
So-
vegetation down.
Now again,
And
no, we're
the
not,
only affected party is more than happy to write a letter and say, I'm good with it.
How much of the time did you spend with the building inspector on this?
We've been
we,
4 years now.
we've talked with Corey from the beginning. I don't know, this is I mean, Corey is aware that this is a variance that we would request as well. I don't know, is he, can he be helpful? He's very helpful. He's been helpful with us through this process from the beginning. I maintain that in a non-absolute scenario, this is the best solution for this site.
Alright.
And I feel like in one plan, you're sort of saying, well, there are other.
No, the best solution for this site, if you want to keep the building the same, is to go with 10 rooms and not 12 rooms. That's the best
That's not
solution.
the
for
best
this site.
solution.
Why is it?
Because that's saying the best solution is the solution that doesn't require variance, and I don't think that that is the legitimate position.
well, but in theory, if it were small, like your argument is that
You don't-
more spots for the community and safety.
Yeah,
then
you're
you would-
saying the best scenario is a scenario that requires no variance, and that's not this scenario and this
I
scenario.
absolutely disagree with you. Yes, I absolutely.
understand. I'm saying that's not, because we're taking, this is a very minor variance that has an impact on one residence. And that residence has no issue with this variance.
I get that, but the code is there for a reason.
I understand.
Okay, the code is there for a reason.
I
All
understand.
right, it's, if you can work within the code, we expect you to work within the code. And I'm sending that message out to all builders,
However,
all.
these meetings and the zoning board of appeals is also this for a reason. And it's not just to say,
Easy,
there's
easy
no,
with the board.
there's no disrespecting state. law.
I
I'm
understand.
saying it has a purpose, the code has a purpose, these meetings have a purpose.
We are following what our purpose is.
I
Our
understand.
purpose is to evaluate this code and whether or not there's a necessity for it by our opinion. That's it. We're appointed by the village board, appointed by the mayor. This is what we do. All right, we do it in the best interest of the community. For everybody.
With
That's
all due
why.
respect, I feel like you're doing it in the best interest at the moment of the no variance and not the community. or
That is the
development.
community. We're the community right now. You're looking at us for a grant. We're the community. We're speaking for the community right now. I'm not prepared to make a vote on this tonight or ask for a straw poll. We're gonna leave it at this. I would advise, this is my advice to you, I'd go down and sit with Corey real quickly. And if you've waited 4 years, you can do another month. We'll talk about it and we'll have something firm next month. I guarantee you that.
I guess I may have kind of already stated this, but my concern, if whatever, is that in reality, this not granting this variance isn't going to affect anything, and you would be able to continue right on track without these parking spots. I personally, after looking at all of this, don't think that the 5 foot towards the back of the property with the extra features that are being added is going to have a negative impact, and that the parking spots would have a positive impact. So that's kind of where I'm torn, is because I don't think you need a variance, but
I don't think this is enough parking spots to make a difference.
well, I
more
mean,
spots
when you're
on that, it
on
doesn't
Main
make a
Street,
difference.
one parking spot's enough to make a difference.
No,
You
not
know?
if you're,
No,
not if there's,
you got other businesses coming in. I understand why
Yeah.
you want more parking.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I need to like open my mind to not as selfish as reasons, but chances are I'm gonna be
The
picking up
building
takeout
inspector's on
on
vacation
vacation.
this week too. I did not get a chance to sit down.
Uh,
That is my recommendation, guys.
We get, is there ability to get a variance for that? Since that there's no other. Well, I think property.
Yeah, I take,
Okay,
let's circle back on
And
this. in another
the front's as tight as it can be,
there's a 4'6" bike path that no one else on Main Street has.
and what's it tied to?
We were sort of told to put it in.
That's part of the new code.
Oh, the new, okay,
Request
Complete
you
street.
provide.
well, that'll be nice. in
So much
50
traffic
years.
is gonna be coming down here. Someone's gonna be run over on it.
That's gonna be a huge dreaded problem.
All right, guys, we're not done with this yet. I apologize for another month, but
Thank you.
give us the time. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We have.
We have some admin business to do. All right, I just want to put, do I need to make a motion actually to approve the request for, from Richard Hasbrook?
Thank you.
Thank you. For $397.50. Do I need to put that in there? Approve that closure report, close that
Yes, to
account?
close their escrow account.
Yeah. Do I need to make a motion? Okay, can I
Yes.
have a motion to close out the account of ZB 21-02.1-3? That's the estate of Richard Hasbrook for $397.50. They're all current.
Motion.
Second,
aye,
all in favor? Aye.
aye.
The May and July minutes, has everybody had a chance to take a quick look at those? Yes, okay, all good. Can I get a motion to approve and put them into the record, both the May and the July minutes? Can we do the June? No, we can't do the June minutes.
No. 'cause we
We
know.
Just want to make sure that everyone was,
Yeah, we don't have the
We're
June
all
ones.
here?
Autumn's
Okay.
got it right. Good old Autumn, she's banging it out.
and you three were all
Oh,
here
that's
for the
so-
May and July.
Yeah, we got May and July.
Okay.
on this. So all in favor, get a motion for that?
Motion for
Second.
May and July.
Aye,
All right, all in favor? Aye.
aye.
And last but not least, is someone here to give us the village board updates. That'll be a no. So with that said,
Meeting tomorrow.
all right, can I get a motion in to close the meeting of August 9th, 2022?
Motion.
Second,
Aye,
all in favor? Aye.
aye.
All right, guys. That was a fun one.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.